We almost had a technical malfunction right at the beginning. I don't know how, but Sat managed to take himself out of the stage and back into backstage, but I noticed it just in time because this is not my first rodeo, even if it is your first time seeing us live here on the Wrestle Purists main channel. Hello, welcome one and all. I, of course, am Tempest. Yeah, we got to figure out how to do our little fusion dance thing that we normally
don't worry. I'm just doing what they used to do in the 90s. It was quite popular. Like, to you, man. I'm doing Sting, I'm doing Kevin Nash, I'm doing Scott Hall. I'm just throwing it to you, dude. I'm just throwing it to you. And now my cat's now made an appearance. Tunde, what you want?
It's quite all right.
I'm gonna let him escape.
Yeah, go let him escape and figure out which direction of the screen it is because you're pointing off screen. Yeah, let me throw it to Sat over there. No, throw it over here.
Yeah,
we're back. We're back. Hello, welcome one and all to the first edition of Ruthless Discussion. We are very, very, very excited about the first edition of our brand new show here on Wrestle Purists. We had our very first edition of the AEW Dynamite Review podcast this past Thursday, available for members here on Wrestle Purists. So make sure, of course, that you're signed up as a member so you can go back and listen to our AEW Dynamite thoughts, as well as all the thoughts of the lovely team here at Wrestle Purists. And you, of course, be able to catch our thoughts on this coming week's episode of AEW Dynamite, Title Tuesday, in due time. In the meantime, however, we've got the first edition of Ruthless Discussion to get on with, and we are very excited to debut our brand new show. Very excited for you all to participate in our brand new show. Feel free to have your thoughts read out on the show. Super chat in. You'll get them read out here. We're going to be talking to the live chat. We're going to be talking to each other. We're just going to be letting our thoughts and feelings roam because my goodness gracious me, we have been doing this for a very long time and talking about how, you know what, it's really nice how when I talk to you, Sat, that we can just go off and have a tangent here and there. We can talk for hours about a certain subject and we can understand each other's deep cuts, and maybe we don't even necessarily agree with each other's perspective, but we can have a constructive conversation one way or another.
Always.
Thank you, of course, to longtime supporter Greg Cherry Brand for the super chat saying hello, you two wonderful humans. Hello to yourself, sir. We are here. This is going to be a very free-flowing conversation. The kind of idea of this is not to stick to any particular thumbnail topics. We're obviously going to start there because that's what we're going to have the most to say. Usually, this show might come in the form of, like, if there's a particular topic on Twitter that's popping off, if Booker T has said some dumb shit again, maybe we'll address it.
Leave Unc alone. He's getting paid to say stupid stuff. He's getting paid.
I refuse, sir. But that's not going to be the topic of today's show. In a future day and time, maybe if something breaks on the day, maybe we'll have some thoughts to give. Maybe we will anyway. Who knows? That's the point of this show. The point of this show is to basically give Sat and I a prompt, start talking about it, and then just see where it goes. You know, we're going on a road trip. Maybe we're going to pull off here and check out this attraction. Maybe we're going to check out this giant ball of yarn. Maybe we're going to check out the giant nickel that exists in Sudbury, Ontario. Might be a loonie. Who knows? That's a $1 coin for all you Yanks out there. Go Blue Jays. Today, though.
Yes, sir.
Today, though, sir, we have had a long time to let our thoughts percolate about the current state of WWE's booking, about the current state of WWE creative. And we're nearing the end of the year now. I noticed that today, now that it is October indeed. Today was the first day that I walked outside my house and went, oh my, the days are getting shorter, and the water that is outside, I live next to like a river, basically. I live next to the River Thames, and I looked out and went, oh, that water's cold. So that tells me we're getting close to the end of the year. What does the end of the year represent but the end of an era, and the era that has been John Cena?
Ooh,
John
nice
Cena
takeaway.
kind of, thank you very much. I have done this before. We, of course, have been talking about John Cena. This is what we would do, right? We would wait for our time to talk on our AEW Dynamite or perhaps SmackDown podcasts at various different times.
Mm-hmm.
Just because this is what we do. We talk about wrestling. He and I will just go off on one. We'll pause whatever show we're watching and be like, what do you think about this? And then that'll be a 2-hour conversation. And ultimately, we said to ourselves, why are we not recording these conversations? Because this is what good pro wrestling discussion looks like. And one of those many topics has indeed been both subjects of this video, that being John Cena's retirement and John Cena as a whole, and the booking of that, which of course falls to Triple H himself. So we might have a bit of a reckoning here against Triple H and his booking, because I don't think John Cena's retirement tour has gone well at all. I don't think that is a particularly hot take either.
No, mate.
But
it's universal.
Man, I got about 6 months worth of vitriol saved up in me. But Sad, how are you doing today, brother? I miss you. It's only been a few days, but I love you. I miss you. How you doing on this fine Saturday day?
Well, my daughter said she wanted to say hello to her uncle, government name redacted, Tempest. Because she heard it. Because I tell her I work, and we've always been vague, me and my partner, about what I do. And then eventually start seeping in. I do radio, I do podcasting. At one point, it was cute. She used to see me in the kitchen. Goes, "Oh, you're gonna go to work now?" I was like, "Yeah, it's not tied to the kitchen. Sometimes I leave the house and I work somewhere else that's not in the house." But yeah, we had a conversation. She's watching her Peppa Pig or Bluey, wherever it is. But she wanted to be here. She wanted to be the third co-host alongside us. She knows nothing but wrestling. As I told Tempest a few days ago, her favorite wrestler is Rhea Ripley, based on aura, based on her entrance, based on her vibes. That's her favorite wrestler. But she doesn't really watch wrestling like that. But my son, my youngest, who's born in January this year, he pays attention to wrestling. And I'm like, you're going to be a wrestling fan. Because people say we look like each other. And he vibes the way I vibe. I'm like, you're going to be a wrestling fan. And I feel like his sister is gonna trying to follow in. It's kind of like, I want to be part of this wrestling group thing. But yeah, I've been good, dude. I've been sitting there thinking about all the things I want to talk about. And Tempest is right. When we used to sit next to each other in the office, I'm trying to catch up on Dynamite because I know we're reviewing in a couple of hours. We just did the news, and I will just turn to him. He's busy because he's got a myriad of jobs to do. Yeah, he wore many different hats in the office at his old workplace, and I'd be like, so let's talk about this wrestler. And we'll talk about it for like half an hour to 45 minutes. And I feel guilty because he's busy. He has to like sign off on things. And then I'm taking him away from certain, quiz shows that he has to sign up for. That because we love talking about wrestling. And then, like, when you meet someone who's as knowledgeable and as passionate about wrestling like you are, it's always an ingredient for great things to come. And this show, we pitched it for ages. We've been wanting to do this for ages. But of course, I'm not going to natter on for too long. Tempest, like I like to say, what's causing all of this?
What's causing all of this, brother? Yeah. Man, well, let's just get into it, because we've got lovely people here in the chat. Make sure, of course, you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed to Wrestle Purist if you're not already. I've already seen Mario here, new member, has signed up. Make sure that you're signed up to become a member so you don't miss our AEW Dynamite coverage every Thursday here on Wrestle Purists. It's going to be a great time. We've done one show and it went perfectly. Couldn't have asked for a better debut show. Let's hope every episode of Dynamite is as good as this past week's, so we never have to review a bad show. That being said, we're not here to talk about Dynamite, although who knows? We're here to talk about John Cena, and we're here to talk about Triple H.
Yes, we are.
Because this is going to be interesting. I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm not going to pretend. I have completely cut out the WWE product from my life. That perhaps in some people's mind will make me a not reliable source of reviews, criticism, of information, what have you. I still know what's happening. I see Twitter. I know what the happenings are. But essentially from SummerSlam, I've sort of put a bit of a foot down and said, you know what? I think I'm good. And I was not loving it before that either.
Yes.
But I guess I want to start and just say, like, listen, would you be in favor or not of John Cena taking, I know it's a bit late to do this now because I think they have officially started selling tickets for John Cena's last match.
Yeah.
And they cost a pretty penny. But would it not have been just a better idea to go, you know what, Mulligan, run John Cena to WrestleMania, give him a proper farewell, say screw the calendar year 2025 retirement tour. Like, WWE season runs WrestleMania to WrestleMania anyway. Have that be the farewell, because my God, to have, there she is, our trio, yes, our 3-person booth. Xenia, would we not be better off? We'll ask her as well. We'll ask Xenia.
Xenia, you don't know enough about John Cena. Go with your mom. Tunde came back. I just got attacked. Tempest, where are you? Hit the music.
Hit the music. That's got to be Baba Tunde's music. No, John Cena. I'm getting the show on track because John Cena, right? I am not even the biggest John Cena fan. I am not going to be the one that like goes to bat for the pro stance of John Cena, one of the greatest of all time. In most scenarios, I think I'm probably arguing against the merits of John Cena, typically. Just from like, I've never been a fan, like
never been a time when you're like, you appreciated his ability, like personality on the microphone, able to sell shows when he was on. Obviously, there was a time period where John Cena had his default thing where nothing bothered him, so it kind of ruined feuds. But but even what was PWG run? I feel like as a work rate guy, his PWG, someone gave him a subscription, I don't know, a YouTube link, and all of a sudden he started doing Cold Reds. You didn't appreciate that time when he was trying to put
Of course I did. Of course I did. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a monster here. Like, I'm not going to completely write off the man's entire career by any means. Yeah. But if someone came to me and said, are you going to take the pro John Cena stance or the anti John Cena stance? I'm probably taking the anti John Cena stance, just in general. But I can absolutely take a step back, try and look at things a bit more objectively. Look at the highlights he's had of his career. I think there are definitely years in there where he's been Wrestler of the Year material. Ooh. I think his the Observer Award Wrestler of the Year he has in 2007, I think is very well deserved. Yeah. I think that year-long title reign he had is one of the best WWE Championship reigns.
Bingo.
Ever. Ever. I would put it in my top 10 list if I were to make one of the best WWE Championship reigns. I think his run in 2015 as US champion, yes, it's just him wrestling the stars of Ring of Honor and beyond, and that does yield better results than the years where he's wrestling your Kanes and your big shows, whoever the case. Carlito, Catch a Stray, what have you.
Carlito was good before, I guess, the muscle mass. I don't know what happened, but yeah, anyway, that's a conversation.
I can definitely look at the positives of John Cena's career. And in doing so, I can look at John Cena's career and say that deserves a better send-off than what we've gotten.
I agree.
Holy hot damn, bro. I don't know if you tried to book the worst possible retirement run of John Cena, I don't know if you'd have done a better job than doing this by accident. Because, holy God, I understand that, The Rock and everything happened this year, and that kind of threw a monkey wrench into the entire WWE creative process, WrestleMania scene, John Cena trajectory, etc. But it does not excuse the fact that along the way, the entire handling of John Cena's retirement and just John Cena as a character, even if it wasn't his retirement, take that part out of it. If you're just booking John Cena for a year, this is one of the worst booked years of John Cena's career. And I think that's absolutely crazy. Just before we get into your thoughts, I'm going to go through Vincent with a super chat saying supporting these two lovely, brilliant humans, the channel, and the Never Seen 17. As well as Wilfred saying, Tempest, fly to Winnipeg for Mercedes versus Jody. That is a particularly long flight for me, sir. As much as I would very much like to see it. Book that match in Toronto, specifically at Demand Lucha, and let me do commentary for it, because I will be there.
It's a challenge right there.
I will come back specifically for that. You know, like I'll come back for that one. There are some people that will get me in the booth even if I'm not in the country. But that being said, Sat, tell me what your thoughts are about John Cena this year, just kind of in general, all of that. Like, what has been your takeaway of 2025 Triple H's booking of John Cena?
You know, the funny thing is, what I'm about to spill, what's about to come out of my mouth was based on when you were talking, it made me think. So I would say John Cena's 2025 has been a collateral damage to expose the fraudulent booking practices of Triple H. And you ask, how did it expose it? So John Cena for ages has been saying it, almost like a puppet, almost like a mantra for years. John Cena, I always called him the most ideal main eventer for Vince McMahon, right? So for many, many years, I'm going to paint a picture as a longtime wrestling fan. Please, let's go on this journey. Go on the Lex Express bus because he's part of that story. And we're going to go down the history of Vince McMahon and when he's looking for his main event player. You've got Hulk Hogan, that was his first main event player. And then you've got the whole story about how, you know, as the golden age of wrestling boom happened in the 80s, it was Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan together. You almost see neck and neck. It's like a partnership. You had a promoter, you had a wrestler. But obviously, the wrestlers start to feel like my value's too high, it's too big. And often you get loggerheads and button heads. And eventually, Hogan left in the steroid trial. He came back for a bit. The house was crap in 1983. He didn't want to get blamed for it. So he left to do Thunder in Paradise. They went to WCW, and the rest is history. But during that time period, Vince McMahon was trying to find the next guy, right? Because the weird thing about, not even a weird thing, it's almost like corporations. When you struck, you know, when lightning strikes, rarely does it strike twice, but with WWE, they never learned the lesson. They're like, if this thing works, it'll work for fruition. Obviously, Bret Hart was meant to be a stopgap. The most fascinating thing about Bret Hart's career was he was not a chosen guy. He was like, well, you're there. You're a reliable employee. You're always on time. You're always leaving late. You're always working harder than most people. You never take lunch breaks. Here's the belt. While you hold the belt, I'm going to find someone else. Darn it. Warrior's gone. Davey Boy's gone. Crap. Those are my muscular guys gone. Crap. What do I do next? Yoko, you're not muscular, but you're big. You take the title. Lex Luger's there. WBF flops, but Lex Luger's there. Lex Luger's always been the guy they call the second coming of Hulk Hogan. Why not have Hulk Hogan 2.0 with Lex Luger? Obviously, that failed. He wasn't over. He left for WCW. And then you've got Shawn Michaels. Him and Vince McMahon got a special relationship. We don't know what that is, but the houses were down. He's not that particularly big. You got Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was by accident. And I'm trying to skip along because now you got the Rocks, but he's Hollywood bound. But you got John Cena, a guy that never says no. This is what I'm trying to get to. The guy never says no. He keeps saying
WWE's greatest soldier.
Right. You supply and I'll give the demand. Right. You demand and I'll supply. Sorry. You demand and I'll supply. That's been a relationship he had with Vince McMahon. He trusted Vince. Vince's cohorts, Vince's minions, whoever is in charge of booking his stuff. Arn Anderson is in charge of his matches as his agent. He trusted people. He's like, you get me where I need to be. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll do your crappy Marine films. I'll do any of the silly things, silly promos that he made work. He was the ultimate Vince McMahon main eventer because he never said no. The only time he said no was during the Nexus time, and
I was just gonna say,
right? The only time, allegedly Alex Riley's push getting kiboshed, Tyler Rex's of the world getting kiboshed. He has some weird, there's some stuff we don't want to get into. Dark side of the ring is your job, not my job. But John Cena's thing was, I'll do whatever you want me to do, just do it. So that was Triple H's turn, right? Triple H, like, you'd inherited this genie in a bottle. He'll do whatever you want him to do. You just demand, he'll supply. You're turning heel. All right, sure, cool. I've never done it. It might work out. It is like there was trepidation about him turning heel, right? It's like it's been so late. Most of the people that want him to turn heel, they've grown up now, or they've gone to AEW now. You know, there's like a whole fan base, waves of fan base have moved by. It's a whole different fan base. You got little kids that grew up on John Cena becoming teenagers. He's now the GOAT. It's a whole different product. Would it hit the same? The answer was no. The turn was fantastic. If it's isolated in that one moment, fantastic. But everything else since then was booked terribly. It's almost like someone on the chat GPT when they run out of things to type in and you like pay money or you're gonna get a crap version. You're getting crap version of booking because the whole destroy wrestling thing, it just didn't feel right. And he became a cartoon villain. He harnessed the acting talent of his character from Fast and Furious, and it was just that. And all I can say was, as much as I hated the run, and I'm with you, if he can say, I'm gonna give the people what they want, the run didn't go the way I wanted it to, let's go over to WrestleMania to redeem himself. His last WrestleMania cannot be against Cody and that crap match. I remember I was with our friend Tegan on her on her Twitch, confused about the layout of the match, confused how slow it was, and that cannot be his last match because his match with Cody at SummerSlam redeemed it. It showed that he can still go. It's just, listen, I love Bobby Roode, but Bobby Roode, you're to blame for the structure of that match. I hold a grudge against your fellow Canadian because that was not that's not how you send John Cena off on a WrestleMania. His whole booking practices since post 2018 has been weird. But to answer your question, yes, please, let's go. Let's forget about December. Let's do it to the following April, wherever it is. They're doing it in Vegas again. Let's do a do-over, please.
Honestly, just Neuralizer, Men in Black, boom, didn't happen. Here's John Cena's last WrestleMania. You touched on a few things that like I really agree with. I find it so funny how all this has happened. And I remember the day after the turn, the turn at Elimination Chamber and everything. First of all, I had a very scary incident on the train that day where I had my headphones in. This is an anecdote. This is a sidebar. I had my headphones in. I'm not really paying attention. You know, I'm on the overground. I'm just vibing, right? And I get on the train and like I want to say the next stop, guy gets on the train. And I think nothing of it. He sits down like opposite me, you know, and like I maybe look up and kind of like nod and go back to my phone or whatever. I got my headphones in. There's another guy who's like sat maybe like 3 or 4 seats this way. And all of a sudden I could tell that the guy across from me is like saying things, right? Like he's talking and I'm not thinking anything of it. But like, you know, I kind of look up and look back down and then look up and realize that this guy's not quite right. You know, this guy's a bit manic. And apparently I think the guy next to me like made eye contact with him. And this guy was like fresh out of the joint. This guy had like an ankle monitor on. And this guy was like, yo, I got out of jail today. You want to find out? I'll go right back. I don't care. I'm ready to fight. I watched WWE last night. John Cena turned heel. I'll turn heel. And I was like, what is happening right now? So this memory is locked into my brain in association with this John Cena turn. This guy is the first thing he did when he got out of jail was he watched Elimination Chamber.
Why not?
And watched John Cena turn heel. And maybe just the vitriol of it all was enough to get him about ready to go back in the joint just because someone made eye contact with him. So people were on edge, right? That aside, I go in and people are talking about, is this like the greatest heel turn of all time, right? And recency bias, whatever. Hyperbole, sure. But like, I'm sat there going like, okay, until you see the follow-up, you can't judge this just as a segment. As a segment, like as it plays out, yeah, sure, it's great. You can debate whether as a segment, as a turn, where it ranks, sure. But in terms of like the follow-up to it, that is where all of these things matter. You know, if Hogan and the NWO is a complete flop in WCW, no one looks back at Bash at the Beach with any kind of reverence, right? If Shawn Michaels ends up being just a nobody and flames out in a couple of years and maybe has a run as IC champ and then we never hear from him again, you're never talking about the barbershop incident. You know, good angle, but it's because of what it leads to and what the people become that those turns are significant.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way with this turn. I was like, okay, like, hot dog, you only had a few more tricks you could pull out of your sleeve that you really hadn't done yet. You're talking about like, oh, all of these people have returned to WWE over the years. Like, for the last like 10, 15 years, every person that you'd ever think wouldn't go back to WWE went back. Whether that's Bruno, Warrior, Goldberg, Sting debuting, Kurt Angle goes back. Eventually, fucking CM Punk goes back. And also Bret Hart goes back. Everybody, there's always been those big returns, right?
Yeah.
You've always got something. There's always like the intrigue. You saw it very recently. AJ Lee came back. That was like the big one of those for the women's division. And you start getting through all of these, and it's not like we're completely running out by any means. But if you are going into your bag of tricks, you might not be able to rely on a big return or a debut or something like that. So what do you have in your bag of tricks is this John Cena heel turn that people were saying they wanted for, 15 years. Like you said, I think at a point, I think everybody just went, whatever. It's never going to happen. Maybe at this point, it shouldn't happen. Like, do we want like a 2-month part-time heel John Cena in the twilight of his career when he's not winning matches anyway, blah, blah, blah? Probably not. I probably wouldn't have had much stock put into a potential John Cena heel turn in like 2017, 18, 19, any of these where he's barely around. So we're getting this whole deal. Bam, right out the gate. We're getting a John Cena heel turn. That is very exciting. I know The Rock fucked this up. Like it's very clear that The Rock was a big part of this story and then immediately hit the ejector button and was no longer part of this story. That's fine. That in no way excuses what has happened this year. Because my God, this was my big takeaway that I realized, I think, while you were laying it down. This heel turn feels so regressive for pro wrestling storytelling because it's so unbelievably surface level. It's so pro wrestling brackets derogatory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you look at the best pro wrestling stories that you see like this are stories in which you could tell a similar story if it wasn't wrestling. You know what I mean? When you look at these guys and they are honest to God, fleshed out television and film characters, or books or whatever. Take your medium of choice. And having realistic motivations, having realistic goals, all of these things really help to drive these characters. And with John Cena, the man who's been around for 23 years, has had every possible thing either said to him, done to him as a character, one of the most interesting characters that you could tell a story with. And the first thing you do is, you people, kiss my fucking ass. Get that garbage out of here. That is the laziest shit. And I know I'm just reviewing a goddamn Raw from like 8 months ago. But you know what? I wasn't there with a mic in front of me to have this rant. How, with all of the narrative potential that you have with John Cena, a guy who clearly at this stage will just say yes to whatever you want to do, how are you going in there with one of the worst year-long main event storylines I have seen in a major wrestling promotion? That includes Vince McMahon. I'm talking, this is unapologetically horrible and still is. I don't want to just go step by step through the entire year, but like there are so many layups that were completely ditched, missed for no reason at all. This is always the thing, right?
Yeah.
If you make a decision that I necessarily wouldn't agree with, like we were talking about this on Thursday, right? Where if you look at the Tony Storm losing the belt at All Out kind of thing, right? A lot of the time, I won't agree with that in the moment. I might go like, okay, maybe something better will have come of this. And that's kind of where I'm at with the Tony Storm thing, where I wouldn't have taken the belt off of her, but I have goodwill with you as a booker at the moment, Tony Khan. I have faith to see where this is going to go. It wouldn't have been my suggestion, but I'm willing to see if something better is going to happen than even I would have come up with. And generally speaking, after a week's worth of TV, maybe I like what they're doing with like, what the belt means to me and who, if it makes you who you are, all that kind of stuff. As an example, that being said, if you do some dumb ass shit and it is not better than the easy decision that was presented to you on a silver platter, then I think you're just bad at this, mate. And that's kind of where I've gotten to with Triple H as a booker, particularly with John Cena, because I'm really sorry. How do we get a fucking Logan Paul tag team match in the main event of Money in the Bank and not a fucking CM Punk WWE title match? When you're going to do that anyway a month later. We often talked about how it feels like Tony Khan misses some of the layups that you get, Lucha Brothers and Proud and Powerful, whatever. That's always been a mark against Tony Khan when it comes to his booking, that sometimes the obvious thing is there and he doesn't do it. That's fine. But my God, is that now catching up with Triple H in a massive way? At least they did Randy Orton in St. Louis. Yeah. They did that in his hometown. But you know what? It turned into a shit post come to life. You have R-Truth have his main event run for 6 to 8 weeks and then fire him and bring him back. And we all know how this has gone. Like the easiest potential for everything has been right in front of you when it comes to this guy. I'm not saying that you needed to do the heel turn. I'm not saying that you needed to just have it be a nostalgia tour, play the hits, all the greatest rivals type thing, But there is a very easy path to having a satisfying John Cena retirement tour that has maybe a heel turn, if you want to do that, maybe some combination of wrestling the new guys and the old guys. And somehow we've gotten here where John Cena's got like 2 matches left. I don't know, however many dates he's got left on his deal.
He had 5. I don't know what's been used since then, but I think it's probably either 5 or less than 5 since we've last checked.
So something real minuscule. And it means we're not getting AJ, no AJ Styles, no big feud with Gunther. I don't want to write these off totally because
but he's got AJ in Crown Jewel. That's been announced.
Sure. He's got AJ now because he basically went out there and went like, give me my goddamn matches, actually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I have so much vitriol that I've just saved up over the course of all of this.
It's come out, and then someone put in the chat, I mean, it coincides with Tanahashi's retirement tour as well, and it's almost like night and day of what could have been done. And the funny thing is, you said about how Rock kind of effed it up, because I feel like The Rock was the example of having a later in career heel turn that actually worked. I think had The Rock not turned heel with the Final Boss the previous year, they would not have broached John Cena turning heel. It's kind of like, this is ludicrous. You're too beloved. Because The Rock came at a weird time of when people were like, Cody, your documentary sucked because you didn't finish the story. Fucking finish the story. I think because I had enough of the whole story. Me and you in the office. I was like, I'm tired of this story. The amount of people, it even became a joke that other people, Godo finished his story before, Cody. Like there was other jokes being happening about how certain people finished their story before Cody, and it had to be done. And then you got the final boss run, which was successful, even like surpassing Hollywood Rock, which was considered the gold standard in terms of Rock runs. So I feel like they saw that and they're like, you know what, John, you can have a final boss like run. And like you said, Rock leaving kind of took the legs off the storyline quite quickly. But I feel like you said there was layups throughout the year or even years of what John Cena's heel run could have been about. This guy just lost the Royal Rumble to Jey Uso. Before that, had hardly won a match in nearly 2 years, or whatever it was. That's not a tag team match.
More than that. Hadn't won a singles match on pay-per-view in 7 years.
Bingo. So I feel like it was
Triple H.
Right? So it was all there to have a nuanced heel turn where like I had to do this. As much as people like to poo-poo Stone Cold's heel turn, at least it was simple. I come back from a neck injury. This guy, Rock, has taken my spot. Wrestling's moved a bit. There's all these new wrestlers. There's the Radicals, all these guys. Where do I fit into it? I was desperate. I needed this. Simple. It wasn't a you people promo. It was like, nope, I needed this. And damn you guys, if you don't understand why I did this. It was a little bit of self-confidence issue. He lost. Weirdly, him losing to Triple H, Stone Cold, the previous month kind of probably played into that, but it never really got picked up enough. Like you would never lose to Triple H in any other year. But in 2001, guys like Regal and Angle and Benoit are catching up to you. So yes, that for me was great where he was desperate. That promo he did with JR and when the Rock in the locker room, because I need this more than anything. That desperation seeped through the screen, but we didn't know his desperation at the time. Foreshadowing or looking back now, you can see the seeds that were planted. We've seen it was there. The way he got eliminated was so, I don't want to say anticlimactic, because I feel like in real life you can get a little tiny bit of a shove, right? And the way he landed and that reaction, that camera being in his face, that could have played right into when he realized I'm going to turn heel. Because right after that, he has the press conference when he goes, you know what? I'm going to use the fact I'm John Cena to say I'm going to be in an elimination chamber. All the little things that was there, it got ignored because it was a paper thin heel, explanation for his heel turn. It was like sketches. When you're scrambling because the plan A is gone. The Travis Scott's not there. The Rock's not there. The Soul storyline. And he said, no, I didn't do it for Soul. It's like, it should have been because I was desperate. This is my final year. Nothing's working for me. I'm older than I was before. These wrestlers are lapping me. I had to do what it takes to get there. And that would have been compelling. I think if they had layers, it would have been a chef's kiss. Because it can also be like, did he turn heel or was he being human? It's a human thing at the end of the day. Right? You're looking for a job for the longest time. Like in our situation, if you're like unemployed and you're like, I don't want that job. I don't want that job. I don't want that job. And a year later, fine, I'll take that job because I need the money for now, but I'm gonna move on. Like it's this, there's layers to this that was so ignored. It's so paper thin. You said it. It's so archaic. You people what? You booed me 15 years ago, and I pretended to be fine with it, but I wasn't fine with it. Huh? But you did really well. You deflected well. We're with you. You beat Mysterio for the title on the same night he won it. You boo you, because that's the thing about John Cena's run before he turned heel. Because we accepted he was never turning heel, there were elements in his run where he was the heel, like through the Punk. When he's you're the corporate guy. Because there was layers. Because I think they tried to gaslight us into saying, "You listen, we're never turning him heel, but in certain storylines with RVD and so forth, he is the heel, but not in the traditional sense." It's kind of like those layers to his character, almost like he's like a modern Bret Hart in 1987. It's like in his mind, he's a babyface, but he does heel actions that Americans don't agree with. There was meant to be layers with the characters, so you accepted it. You're like, it's John Cena. He's a babyface, but a grating one. But there's layers, because he always put layers into it at times when he wasn't goofing off or deflecting on whatever gripe a person had against him. But during this run, you're talking about how AJ Styles and John Cena match is only happening because how bad things got bungled. The guy stopped doing motivational, speeches on Twitter. He stopped following porn star accounts because he was pissed off about how he's been booked. The guy
You got
saying,
John Cena to actually use Twitter for the first time in his life. You got John Cena to log onto Twitter and make an actual tweet, not a fortune cookie ass tweet.
And the Triple H, the biggest sin that Triple H did, this is what I'm saying, that this Cena run has been collateral because it exposed Triple H the way we've forgotten who Triple H really is. What happened when Brock Lesnar came back? Because that's what we're alluding to. Because since SummerSlam, I too have a company that I've loved since the age of 1 and 2 years old. I've kind of went part-timing it like your EastEnders or something. But Triple H, can never, ever take the blame. When it comes for something to take the victory, you enjoying the show? It's all part of the show. He's saying that, well, John really wanted this. He wanted to face Brock Lesnar. And then this is Cena goes, well, you know, they're making me do these things. I never say anything in the history of my career. He's been hinting that you motherfucker never going to put it on me. And you got social media saying that Triple H has always kind of detested John Cena because John Cena, he took the spot that Triple H thought was for him because Triple H got another own history. There's a guy that's always the guy next to the guy, never been the guy. And then this is also the guy that went to Vince McMahon. Listen, we don't need The Rock. Let his contract run out, allegedly. In 2004, this is the story that happened in 2004. Let his contract run out. You have me. You don't need The Rock. And The Rock's contract ran out, and he's like, "Wait, I'm not longer part of the company. I thought I'm doing this part-time thing. I'm doing my films." But then Rock goes on to becoming a big star. Triple H does the Reign of Terror, Evolution, and then you got Batista and John Cena being made in 2005. But this thing is, after 2005. Triple H is no longer the focal point. There's times when he turns babyface, you know, John Cena torn his, pectoral muscle or torn his bicep. You need him for No Mercy against Randy Orton. Triple H becomes like the backup babyface guy when you got no one on SmackDown to fight Great Khali. But he was never the guy after 2005, right? Memories.
Memories. I remember it. It's bad time.
But John Cena was what Vince McMahon's been looking for since Hulk Hogan left. It didn't work with Lex Luger. Brett was never as charismatic as Hogan. Shawn was a different ilk. He's Gen Xer. He was a wrestler for Generation X. Stone Cold, again, wrestler for Generation X. But Vince always loves a certain type of guy. Big, muscular guy, white meat baby face. That's his default. He can't help himself. Got a boomer mindset. Then John Cena comes along. The modern day Sting. Same guy that taught Sting, taught John Cena. Same kind of crew cut. It recently said it. Jim was saying a young Sting. I always felt like there was a Sting connection between John Cena and Sting, Surfer Sting, because the way John Cena as a babyface, upbeat, happy-go-lucky, maybe to a fault, but he was the perfect guy. Triple H can never be the guy. And I always feel like probably a little bit of resentment come through. Again, it could be conspiracy theory on my part, but I don't believe when he hugs people, especially wrestlers that he buried a hatchet with or wherever in front of people to try to look like some type of way. Triple H got exposed. I said a long time ago, his NXT run was for two things: PWG, ROH, well, three things. PWG, ROH, put that together, and Ryan Ward, who was the main writer during that time period of NXT, who should get the credit for it. Because nothing Triple H does comes from his noggin. You saw Unreal. As much as it is fake, some of that can't be faked. He'll come in there, give me an idea to run with, and I'll take the credit for it. But yes, that John Cena run was a layup. It could have been him fighting all the younger guys. It could have been him putting old feuds to rest. It could have been him desperate. That desperation of being champion again. I need to be 17. I need my career to end on a high. There could have been layers to it. But again, surface level. And then unfortunately, you've got a run of two halves. But even the second half got fucked up because he got beaten by Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar needed a run or a rub or something.
Apparently he does. Jesus Lord. I'm glad we brought it back a bit to the Cena thing, because I had a point that I was hanging on to desperately, and I didn't want to lose it while you were having a terrific rant there, where this John Cena run, right? Because it's one thing to just critique and be like, oh, bad, blah, 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 without actually giving anything constructive. It's like, all right, well, what would you have done? All right, well, how about this or whatever? And it's really easy to just say, like, the place that John Cena was in as a wrestler, as a character and everything, where he hasn't won a singles match in 7 years. And he had this shot at going to WrestleMania at the Royal Rumble and he lost. And therefore, what do you do after that? But you take that and you have to turn heel because that's the only way you're going to get there. That's one thing. Okay. It's one thing just to say that and have that be the motivation, right?
Yeah.
However, allow me to take everyone back some many years now, because this is what I do and people are comparing them anyway. Let me compare this John Cena heel turn to a not quite heel turn, but a very interesting character moment in the career of Hiroshi Tanahashi, because I think the parallels are almost perfectly aligned, where Okada comes into the company, right? This is like the Shaka no Osaka era, the kind of early Bushiroad stuff where Tanahashi is the ace who now has been usurped by the younger guy. And I take you to like the end of 2013, right? So they've already done their 2012 trilogy where Okada beats him, and then they have Tanahashi takes the belt back because he is still better than Okada at that point. And then at Wrestle Kingdom 7, Tanahashi beats Okada, right? That's your original trilogy, the first year of storytelling. Really good way to build up a challenger for this unbeatable top babyface that everyone loves, right? Tanahashi goes through that, and what happens right afterwards? Like, not even a beat gets missed. Okada wins the New Japan Cup, and he beats Tanahashi, and that is the point where Tanahashi knows exactly what he's dealing with in Okada. He knows exactly the wrestler that he is. He's beaten him. He's lost to him. He knows what to expect, and at this point, Okada has surpassed Tanahashi as a wrestler and beats him for the title, and it really is like, okay, Okada's kind of the guy. They would have their big ultimate climax years later. But as far as this storyline is progressing at this point, Okada has surpassed him, right? And that's in like April of 2020 or of 2013. They go to a draw in the G1 and they go and they have one more match in 2013. Their 2013 extra trilogy, the second chapter of their rivalry. This takes place at King of Pro Wrestling 2013, and it's one of the most fascinating matches I've seen from a guy like this, because could you not have applied this particular match and story to what John Cena did in some way, where Tanahashi goes into this match, and you can see immediately from his entrance, he comes out and he's jovial to a level that he hasn't been of the last few matches, where he's like really focused and serious and he knows this is going to be a hard match. He goes out and he's like slapping all the hands and he's air guitar and he's really pumped up. He's really happy. As soon as his music stops, he's in the corner. He's like dead serious. He knows what he's about to do. He goes in there, and for a different promotion, this would be a heel turn, but this is New Japan and things are a bit more nuanced, especially at that time anyway. But he goes in there, and in the first like 2 minutes, he feigns a knee injury. He goes down, he's holding his knee. He's like, oh, God. Oh, what a shame. Tanahashi, because he's put it on the line in this match that he will not challenge for the IWGP title again if he loses. And he jumps off the top rope or the middle or something like that, lands on his feet, and he goes down. He grabs his knee. And there's a bit of time, and they check on him and whatever. Okada comes over. Okada gets jumped. He gets beaten down. Tanahashi puts the boots to him. He does the air guitar. He jumps on his good knee. Everyone starts booing him because he has made the decision that he will sell out his morals because that's what he needs to do to beat Okada. Nothing else has worked. In this case, John Cena's had 7 years of not getting it done. And perhaps even longer than that, if you take it back to like, you know, when Roman beat him the first time in 2017, right? A passing of the torch type moment. He's got plenty of experience at this point losing in this late chapter of his career. But the important part of all of this, the part that I want to bring up that I do think is constructive, is Tanahashi does all of this. He goes down a heelish route in an effort to try and beat his rival who has shown that he has surpassed him. And Tanahashi still loses. And with that heel turn, he doesn't have to take this title and be like, oh, I won this, but at what cost? No, it's, I did that to try and win, and I still lost. And that is fascinating. I understand that John Cena in 2025 probably does get one more run with the belt, right? Because they've been putting off like number 17 for years and years and years. Everybody knows that he's going to end with 17, right? How and when you do it, that's up to you. But generally speaking, how you handle this heel turn is how it's going to be remembered. You can take the motivation of, I just cannot, on my own merit and skill, win this match anymore. And therefore, I turn to The Rock or Travis Scott. Probably wouldn't do that in hindsight either way. But like some heelish manner. Maybe it's just a kick in the dick at WrestleMania and they go babyface all the way and they do the turn at WrestleMania or something like that, right? And you do that. And you have to reckon with, yes, I did all of that to achieve this. But at that point, what does this mean? What is this worth to me? 17? 17's always going to have an asterisk next to it. Because I sold out. You didn't sell out money. You didn't sell out and get a bigger contract from The Rock. But you, John Cena, Mr. Never Give Up, you gave up. You took the easy way out. Easy peasy. Again, as someone who looks at the Tanahashi thing as one of the best things I've ever seen, maybe you do all of that and you have him turn heel mid-match and still have Cody beat him and have John Cena do his whole redemption arc, and then that results in him winning the title. I think that's probably a more satisfying journey. Like John Cena goes to the back after that match where he's turned heel but still lost, and he goes back and there's like all the baby faces expecting to give him a standing ovation, and they're all just like, who are you? How could you do that? Maybe the one at the front of the line is R-Truth, and he just takes off a headband and walks out, you know, something like that. Again, these are not like, this is a better story. I will say right now, this is a better story than what they have told. But this is not like rocket science storytelling, right? This is not where you got to have your PhD in wrestling booking to be able to think of something like this. It's purely looking at someone with a believable motivation in that they want a human motivation that they want to achieve this one thing, but they can't. And how do they respond to that very human predicament? And they didn't have him act like a human.
Nope.
They had him act like a goofy
evil soldier. Evil super soldier.
An evil super soldier. I'm really sorry, but that is some dog shit, bro. To not have R-Truth, if you want R-Truth to play into this, R-Truth looks at all this and goes, oh, you're not, like, John Cena, you've let me down. And he walks, no, you're not going to do that. You're just going to have him still be wacky R-Truth. Oh,
no, hero. That's not, okay, that's not,
let's not do that.
Okay, let's talk about our truth. Bro, listen, I'm getting hot for you. That's why I took my cardigan off. There's two versions of R-Truth. There's an R-Truth that is lovable, goofy, and there's this mentally ill R-Truth that you're seeing portrayed by Triple H. Because it's the thing about Triple H. I know if anyone's a fan of Triple H in this chat, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just gonna keep it real. He's been doing this thing where in the media, well, you know, wrestling. Here's a guy who loves professional wrestling. By the first opportunity he gets to be the spokesperson about wrestling, it's like real sports, but you know, I get to do, you know, the outcome. No, dude, it's like he tries to be so disaffected, so cool at the expense of the thing that you're trying to promote. And even like R-Truth, I don't think he likes R-Truth. So he's like, we're just gonna bury this guy because my father-in-law finds him humorous, but I don't really care for him. Because if it was up to me, up to anyone else, and we didn't do this hill run, if we're seeing in hindsight, it's too little too late, no one's gonna boo him, no matter what you say his motivations are, because it's human. You'll be like, yeah, dude, I would have done the same thing. Thumbs up. You know, it should have been the dream match everyone's been talking about in John Cena's final chapter, and everyone's like, what is this dream match you're on about? There's this 6'4" Austrian man who's serious about wrestling, right? The ring is sacred. He's everything the antithesis of what John Cena is, right? You saw a little bit of what an underdog John Cena match is with Brock Lesnar, 11 years ago, but you build that up in a different lens. Gunther is currently world champion. Let's just go back to the Rumble. Jey Uso doesn't win because as much as I
thank you. I know I'm the resident Jey Uso hater, but what the fuck, man?
Jey Uso doesn't win. There. Yeah, you know what? Because I was thinking about Elimination Chamber, but I was like, Cody Punk. I mean, Punk wins and faces and whatever. And then you can finally get Seth versus Roman. The simplest things that Triple H missed. There's another thing you're saying. You're saying that he's catching up to Tony Khan. I think he's surpassed him already. You've got Gunther, who needs a credible person to face because his title reign has been struggling because he has not been in the main event, doing for the duration of his time. And you got John Cena there, who everyone thinks this is the perfect guy to face because John Cena will draw out the kind of never give up, never say die attitude, while Gunther would be like, the ring is sacred, you're a joke, you cater to his kids, I don't care about his kids, I care about being champion, and then people pander to you, everything people think you are, I am the best wrestler, I am the GOAT, I am everything that Triple H, everything that John Cena gets labeled as being like the best of all time by Michael Cole. You should get Gunther harassing Michael Cole like, I am the best wrestler. You address me as the best wrestler. And then you have this feud that is based on John Cena who's never won a match in 7 years. I wanted a Rocky story because if there's anyone that could do the Rocky story, it's bloody John Cena. And this is how R-Truth could have been used. Yes, sacrifice him. Let him be bloody Apollo. Let him get beaten up, powerbomb 7 times, KO'd in the middle of that ring, get his John Cena t-shirt ripped out off from him. Do it in Boston or something like that, where John Cena's dad could be like, my other son, my black son, what are you doing to my son?
And then Cena coming out, the angle they did with Gunther killing Jimmy Uso while Jey Uso watched. Do the same thing with R-Truth being killed with John Cena handcuffed to the ropes.
Yep. It could be that Cena's been his old ways of like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take on Gunther. I hope to win. And then that could have been the flick, that switch that made him go, you know what? You've taken it too far, buddy. Attacking R-Truth is almost like the symbol of John Cena's fan base, which is the innocence and the positivity. You took out his mascot. Now he must kill you. And then you go to WrestleMania. And it's up to how you book it. It could be that Gunther destroys him because Cena has never faced that level of intensity of a wrestler. Because Gunther lost the Intercontinental title, and by God, he's not losing another WrestleMania. So he's going in with a point to prove. And you got Sami Zayn saying, I've beaten him before. You need to watch out for him. These are the things you need to watch out for. Certain elements of people saying, watch out for Gunther. Sheamus, an old rival of John Cena, could have been, buddy, you better watch out for him. I could never take him down. There could have been layers where, and the thing is, there's shared history there of people that feuded with Cena and feuded with Gunther. Like Sheamus is that guy, that nice little bridge, because they've both had matches that's been historical, where that way you can make Cena's history come to fruition without it being hokey. It could have been like, oh, here's Sheamus. Hey, let's talk about that table match. No, it's kind of like me and you being through some things. I've been through some things with this guy. He's not to mess around. He's like, unlike, it would have put Gunther over. Gunther beating Cena wrestling would have been great. And then you'll SummerSlam for the redemption. Easy. I would have rested my whole laurels on that and quit the next day. I was like, guys, got nothing else to give. This has been an easy layup. This is your retirement for Cena. He finally wins the title. You got a few months left. Enjoy that for a bit. And then he loses to whomever he needs to lose to put over. Because that's what you're doing. On your last day as champion, whoever it is, and you're retiring, you put over a guy that needs to win. No, it's not Jey Uso. It's whoever it is. It could be a Braun Breaker. Oh, a shock moment to give Obafemi the freaking title. I don't know, because it's the world title. You know what I'm saying? That could have been layers where he faces a young guy or a new guy in Gunther he's never faced before. You doing the whole history thing where you got guys like Sheamus, got other guys that he's dealt with in the past, giving him advice. R-Truth he feuded with, he's friends with, whatever that kind of thing is. And then you get to the end where he loses to an upstart and needs that big push. You would have said that's a great use of John Cena's retirement, blah, blah, blah. See you later. But no, we live in a universe where all the easy layups got fumbled along the way. I can't say that Triple H is a great booker because most of the things he took on was already laid up there. It's already put out there for the world to see. The whole bloodline things, we're still doing the whole bloodline things in 2025. That's the thing with WWE. When they do something great, they can't help but run it to the ground and start a similar thing because that worked before. Let's do it again. Final Boss worked. Let's do it with Cena. No, it didn't work. They never learn because they feel like we have to run things to the ground before something accidentally hits us in the face and then we go with it.
From Black Yakuza says, me thinks certain wrestlers politicking for themselves also impacted things too. Thank you very much for bringing this up, because this legitimately was the next like kind of talking point with regards to WrestleMania and all of this sort of thing that I wanted to get into. I'd had this thought earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Been like, I want to talk about that on the podcast. And then I forgot about it. And then that chat reminded me of it. So thank you, sir. Continue to send in your super chats because clearly they spawn more conversation and they help me remember the other things that I want to say.
I mean, they're involved as well. You guys are involved. This is a conversation with all of us. We may be the main conduit of the discussion, but if you feel like you want to add something, please let us know and we'll bring it up and we'll discuss it here.
I want to know what everybody in chat is thinking. Let us know. Also, make sure you've liked and subscribed as well. You know, just saying. This is the thing, right? This is the thing when it comes to like the wrestlers politicking and all that, because I completely believe that all of this happened this year. Obviously, I don't think the WrestleMania card for 2025 would have looked anything like what it ended up looking like and whatnot. So there have been some like comparisons or whatever that we've made to Tony Khan and like kind of missing the boat of things and various bits like that, right? And what did people say for like the longest like time when AEW is really going through like, you know, it's tough stretch and all this sort of thing, right? I'm talking like brawl out time and you know the things that happened afterwards, where whether it was, you know, Andrade attacking Sammy Guevara and then Brawl in a year later and all of these various things, right? A lot of people said that wouldn't happen under Vince McMahon, for instance. Now, first of all, that shit ain't true. Like, people would still fight, you know. Have you ever heard of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, for instance? It happened, right? Booker T, Batista. There's loads of backstage fights. Kurt and Eddie Guerrero.
Hunico slapping people.
You can take your pick, right? But generally speaking, like, whether he did a good job or not, and I'll tell you right now that he fucking didn't towards the end, but Vince McMahon running his ship, you knew whose decision everything was. You might be able to get like a John Cena throwing his weight around and be like, I'm not going to put the Nexus over. Not doing that. You know, you might have something like that from time to time, for sure. However, for the longest time, generally speaking, good or bad, you knew who was running the ship, and for the most part, the wrestlers basically went along with what was booked. You know, you show up, you get paid to do, and Vince McMahon would come up with whatever it was. I'm not saying this necessarily as a positive. I am just saying this to highlight that when that criticism is then thrown at Tony Khan, when some heinous shit starts happening and people can't behave, or because people might not want to do jobs for one another and therefore aren't on TV enough. And then there's lots of discussion about why we haven't seen Malachi Black wrestle half the roster, for instance. When that then comes around and starts being very apt criticism for Triple H ahead of WrestleMania, in which we just can't put a card together. Everybody is refusing to do jobs to one another. And I guess that means that we're not going to do this, and that means that we're not going to do that, and we're going to put together this like Franken card of a WrestleMania with one of the worst booked builds to a WrestleMania that I've seen in years since the era of Vince McMahon. All of a sudden, it all looks about the same, doesn't it?
Yep.
All of a sudden, maybe Triple H isn't quite as cut out for this as we thought he was, maybe Triple H doesn't have a control over his roster like some people had thought that maybe he would. Because I'm really sorry if you can't get all of your people to cooperate like this. I know this is wrestling, and this sort of thing, again, have you heard of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels? Has been happening for decades and decades. People saying, I'm not going to put you over because of this and this. Who is it? Dory Funk not wanting to put over fucking Jack Briscoe for the NWA title, having to go and drop it to Harley Race as a go-between because of internal politics between Eddie Graham and Dory Funk Sr. This shit happens in wrestling, going back as far back as wrestling has been booked, right? But my God, this is the kind of thing now where I talk about, Tony Khan and his booking and having a bit of a renaissance this year in terms of AEW's creative. And it means that I can allow myself to theorize about what's going to happen in a show, or theorize what the direction of Tony Storm without the AEW Women's World Title is going to be, or fantasize about, this, that, the other thing, right? I feel like it's not a waste of my time right now because I think a good amount of thought is probably being put into the direction of Timeless Tony Storm, for instance. And that could be applied to loads of people up and down the card, right? I wouldn't want to do this particularly anyway because I'm not a fan. I'm not watching WWE, right? But again, if a lot of this shit was changed, maybe I would. I have zero reason right now as a consumer of pro wrestling to look at the WWE creative picture and fantasy book fucking anything for WrestleMania next year. Because there is zero info to go off of. There is no data to go off of that any storyline that's being fucking set up now is going to be paid off then. Shit don't make a lick of sense.
Nope.
Things are just being fucking booked because I guess that's what this guy and this guy are going to be willing to do. Fucking Road Dogg Jesse James is booking SmackDown. SmackDown is a horrible piece of shit program. That's half of your weekly output. I can just keep going on, man.
Dude, I watched this. Dude, I watched SmackDown for the first time since August because...
Why did you do that to yourself?
Dude, because I heard the Sami Zayn's having a great run of SmackDown. So I started watching it. I want to see what Julie was up to. You know, the ones when I wanted to get a sense, okay, it was the NXT infusion. They got me with Javon Evans and Sol Ruka and Zarya being there. And someone put a nice comment saying about how Javon Evans and Sol Ruka are very SmackDown-centric wrestlers. And I was like, they are. They are the kind of wrestlers you highlight. And then I was like, let me see what SmackDown looked like with more interesting wrestlers. Because the issue with SmackDown is more prevalent on SmackDown than it is on Raw. Is how samey it is. It's Groundhog Day of every week. I'm like, I'm gonna be something with the Vision, something with Cody. I watched it just to get a sense of have I missed anything. And dude, you're right. I didn't miss nothing. All right. Sami Zayn is the only. I said Sami Zayn is the only reason to tune in for the first hour because you don't know where the placement of his match. Maybe it's always gonna be the first match. It's my first time watching in weeks. Miz turned on Carmelo Hayes. Yay. And then a thing of me that is a bit annoyed is Carmelo Hayes as a heel is like, when a wrestler is better aligned in one way than the other. NXT, if you watch NXT, he had a good run as a face, but Carmelo Hayes is at his best as a heel. So you bungle his heel run, and that makes me nervous because they've put Carmelo Hayes on the same boat as Austin Theory, and it makes me want to puke a bit because Austin Theory has never had a good heel run. So I used to make a joke that if a guy can't have a heel run, why are you excited for a babyface run? Because as a heel, it's the easiest layup. Carmelo Hayes as a heel, good nuances, but the way he's booked is dog shit. So it's kind of like failed heel run. Why would we follow a face run? And why do we gonna have him have babyface? A guy that wears sunglasses, bling down to the gills. And you're gonna miscast him as like this underdog or this, you know what I'm saying? He's making me feel sick.
Like, so why is Tiffany Stratton a baby face? Dude. Same sort of character that like just seeps off of them. They're natural heels. Go on.
Right. It's because again, no, you can please chime in from time to time because that's what makes a conversation flow. It's not like I do it's not a debate speech. We actually are having a conversation. So please feel free to interject when you want to. With Tiffany, Bloody Australia, right? fucking Australia cheers for her because she looks Australian, blonde hair, boobs, and all that kind of stuff. They cheered for her, and I'm like,
women nowhere else in the world have boobs or blonde hair. Just
only
so
in
it's
Australia.
clear.
Yeah,
Only in Australia.
yeah, allegedly. Minnesota, Australia. Again, Tiffany Stratton, one note thing. What time is it? And I didn't mind it because the daddy's girl thing got scrapped because they couldn't find anyone to be her daddy. So it became Tiffy time. I call it her Vader gimmick. She got her Vader gimmick. What time is it? You know, but she is a natural heel, and that's why as a babyface it sucks to see because she herself doesn't know. Kind of like Jungle Boy didn't know how to be Jungle Boy. Like, what is a babyface Tiffany Stratton when what got me over was being this Paris Hilton, this Sharpay-esque, this Mean Girl-esque kind of person that she thrived in, even though her version of the character, you've seen it done 1,000 times much better elsewhere. But in the 2020s, it was kind of interesting. It's almost like harkening back. It was almost like a throwback character because you're like, we don't really see a blonde, mean girl-esque thing. That's very much a millennial thing that you don't really see in the TikTok generation. But I didn't mind. I was like, you know what? She needs something. You could tell she's the kind of person that she's still finding herself as a character. In-ring wise, we're also potential in Tiffany. But yeah, as a babyface right now, it's like she's doing I won't say there's humility to her version of the characters there has to be, or she's going to be unlikable. But I am ready for her to lose the title. I pitched for Tiffany to lose to Chelsea Green a long time ago, and too recently because she now lost to Zarya and so Ruka on the tag team match. And I'm like, okay, the credibility for Chelsea's gone compared to like a couple of months ago. It's almost like when Miz had the Miztourage. And there's that weird section where the Miz is the Intercontinental Champion. This one he had a comb back hair. Maurice was there, and I was like, you can argue that this is the guy that beat Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental title. You could actually put him in the main event again. I know you're doing that thing. I've always been the kind of guy like the Miz may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I do appreciate what the Miz can do from time to time. In 2025, I cannot vouch for the Miz. This whole run he's gonna have with Carmelo Hayes annoys the heck out of me. Because you didn't watch SmackDown, I'm gonna tell you what Carmelo Hayes did, which was against character, and he even said it himself. He went to him, Miz went to him. Where were you, man? You just let me lose. Or he goes, well, you should have kicked out, which is great. And he goes to him, we're done. Carmelo Hayes goes to him, we're done. And he goes, usually I would do more than that, but I'm letting you go. We're done. Moving on. I'm like, Carmelo, you do that to Trick, but you're going to let this guy go? Because I think people forgetting, Carmelo Hayes didn't even want to be in this tag team. I hate when Miz is coming like, everything I've done for you. Carmelo Hayes for weeks said, we're not Melo, don't Miz. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, Stooge. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. And eventually they became a team. Road Dogg, Jesse James, I know you've got this weird thing where you're like, my last run, the highlight of my run was that shoot segment by The Miz and all that kind of stuff. Dude, that was years ago. The Miz could be a decent manager for Pretty Deadly or something like that. I don't know. But in-ring wise, let's wrap it up because I'm with you. He's achieved everything he can do. There's no need for Miz to be in the ring anymore. But Carmelo Hayes should be a multiple-time United States champion by now. It annoys the heck out of me. He's been on the main roster for over 18 months. Triple H, Mr. I don't see color. If you didn't see color, why did you blackface as The Rock if you didn't see color, you dipshit? Right? Let's talk about that. Right?
Go off, please.
Right? He doesn't see color, but you wore the Croc, and for some weird reason, the Croc has a bit of a tan. I thought you didn't see color, my friend, my guy. But Carmelo Hayes should be champion. He is 5'8", 5'9", wherever it is. But if you love Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, guys with similar ilk, at the time Andrade 5'9", wherever it is, what you think is a high deficit, you can overcome by the way the guy carries himself. Carmelo Hayes carries himself like 6'10". The way he talks on the microphone so smooth. That series where Andrade on the main roster should have told people, listen, he's more than a good look. He can go off in the ring. And then I love Shinsuke Nakamura. You and I had a whole debate because I will always hold that guy in high regards. I will accept no slander because I do feel like he goes off of Noah and shows out when he can. I do feel like it's a booking thing. It's a whole different story we're going to have. And plus, he's past his prime, but not to the level of Tanahashi because them knees, they need some spring in its step. But it should have been Carmelo Hayes winning the title. It should have been Andrade. It should have that best of 7, best of 8, whatever happened in the end. All for now. And that shows another booking disservice of Triple H. Oh, Road Dogg. But who signs off of it, right? Who signs off on it? Triple H does. Like, dude, when I see Carmelo Hayes, I'm like, dude, what are we doing?
I completely agree. Like, it's always the same. It's always the same sort of thing. Like people are gonna have their teams. People are gonna have like the people that they support. I'm talking like backstage. Like if you're a Triple H fan right now, like if you out there are a Triple H fan, and God forbid, because you've been listening to a real podcast if you're a Triple H fan right now. But if you're a fan of Triple H, man, good Lord. Good Lord, indeed. I have to collect my thoughts on all of this. Like, I'm so flustered by how shit all of this is. Okay, get me back on track. Right. If you're a fan of Triple H and releases happen, I see people go, oh, TKO, oh, it's bad. If there's some booking, if The Rock disappears and WrestleMania is billed as shit, it's like, well, The Rock, like I've certainly said it that like it played a part in it, but I also said today that The Rock leaving does not excuse what Triple H then booked afterwards. You know what I mean? So you've got that, and over here you've got lovely. I don't know why I say lovely. Can't stand this guy. Road Dogg Jesse James booking SmackDown. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure he's the one who has a lot more hands-on, of the day-to-day of like what Mello and Miz are saying in that specific promo. I bet he's the one, kind of figuring that out and the kind of general overall flow of the show and stuff. But goddamn, who is the head of creative right now? Is it not Triple H?
No, it's TKO. TKO making him do this. TKO don't know who works there. That's the funny thing. People, let's talk about that, please. Please, Tempest. Let's talk about, what? I'll sidebar it. I'm gonna let you finish because you started and I did like yank your leg from the bottom of the rope. You finish what you're saying, but we need to talk about the whole blaming it on TKO thing. Sorry.
Well, the only point that I really want to make outside of this, because it's a bit separate from what I was just saying of just like, bro, if you're at the head, it's the same as all the people in years past. Anytime you'd get released and you'd pop on a shoot interview and people would say like, oh, well, Vince loved me. It was that John Laurinaitis was the reason I got fired. It was that Jim Ross is the reason that I got fired. It was that Mark Carrano is the reason that I got fired. Fuck you. If Vince McMahon wanted you in the goddamn company, you'd be in the goddamn company. He didn't, so you're gone. Same thing now. I don't give a shit what people in TKO want. There's a guy making choices on these where if he had a different choice, it would be different. And he doesn't have a different choice because he doesn't know how to make a better one because he sucks. And that's Triple H. That is my point on Triple H for the moment. My second point in all of this, because I have always been the very yelly, screamy, angry WWE guy, and I'm happy to play that role. I will be the Steve Dangle of the wrestling universe. Go Leafs, go! I'll wear the hat again if you'd like. My point in all this, though, is that I don't want this. I don't want this to be the way that I engage with any form of pro wrestling. Right? Yeah. Now, there are loads of problems with WWE that are I'm not just not watching WWE because I don't like the booking. That certainly helps. They're not giving me much of a reason to stick around, but there are plenty of other reasons not to watch WWE right now. Check Triple H's Twitter feed on a day-to-day for some of that exclusive content. But I so would still love in some way or another. And this is why I keep tabs on some of the people that are there, because there are people there that I really want to see succeed.
Same.
And I do not want to see this dipshit that does not know how to book and seemingly can't put a black guy in a singles match on pay-per-view. I'm really sorry, but I'm really tired of seeing people like a Carmelo Hayes not be afforded opportunities for one reason or another and have years of his career just kind of dwindling. Like, he was drafted to SmackDown almost 2 fucking years ago.
#1 draft pick.
Like, brother,
Bron
It has
Breakker,
been
Lyra,
time.
Tiffany, all his contemporaries doing well, and he's still stuck on the same spot he was 18 months ago.
18 months ago, zero development. Zero development. Man wrestled Cody Rhodes in like the main event of that draft show. And I was like, oh, awesome. That's we're going to have a highlight clip of that when they do that match in 6 months or something like that. Or when Mello wins Money in the Bank and cashes in on Cody or whatever, right? But my point is like, I want to see Carmelo Hayes do well. I want to see Javon Evans do well. I want to see Obafemi do well. I want up and down this roster and NXTs and everything. I want to see these people do well. And I don't think the answer to those things is, well, I would just like to see Carmelo Hayes go to AEW. Shout out to Christian Casanova showing up when, that might be the only way to see it. But I would so much rather these people be given opportunities that they have earned in the company that they've earned them in.
Thank you.
And we're not seeing that right now. Instead, we're seeing just an endless wave of garbage called SmackDown.
Do you want to hear a weird stat?
And Raw, please.
Do you know that in AEW, right? I'm gonna use an example, and because this show is called Ruthless Discussion, we talk about many different companies, not just WWE. So in AEW, fantastically, their youngest world champions have been men's world champion has been Hangman Page and MJF. I want to highlight the fact that in AEW, a guy born in 1991 and 1996 has been world champion.
96.
Thank you.
6 months older than I am.
There you go. And in WWE, the youngest world champion they had there, in terms, not like in history, I'm talking about age-wise of like the year, the date they were born. Gunther is 1987. That is the youngest they've gone for a world champion. Is that mind-blowing that we haven't had a wrestler born in the 90s? We haven't had a wrestler born in the 90s be a world champion. We haven't had nuts. Right? So I wanted to highlight the fact because you had guys like, it seems weird to say this, but Bo Dallas was earmarked for something in NXT. They're still citing, right? It never really panned out. Uncle Howdy, fingers crossed, who knows? He may finally actually, achieve what was seen in him. When I was younger, following Bo Dallas, I was like, he might be the guy because I'm born in 1990. So I've yet to see a guy my age win the world title in WWE, and I thought Bo was going to be the one. Carmelo Hayes 94. I wanted to highlight how WWE, everything they criticize WCW, they've become. It's become too vet heavy to the point where you're like, you cannot rely on Roman Reigns forever because he's got one foot out of the door. So in my mind, I'm like, you better do that match where Bron Breakker beats him and you pass the torch, because Bron Breakker, in my mind, as much as the vision is meant to give him something, what is the vision going to give him what he already didn't have where he was Intercontinental champion? I just see it as a placeholder. Unless you're telling me he's winning the title from Seth, even though in my mind it should have been Sammy, even though right now Sammy's on this excursion United States champion. If you're a great booker, if they follow the storylines they've been building, it's meant to be Sammy that's meant to take down division or take down Seth Rollins as champion, but we don't know if that's going to happen because Road Dogg Jesse James is booking him currently. But Bron Breakker should be champion. Obafemi, I've been mentioning Obafemi because every excuse they have for Carmelo Hayes, they can't have that for Obafemi. They can't say, well, we can't cut a promo. My guy's a natural talker. And he's code switching because that's not even his real accent. Apparently, you know what I'm saying? The guy can speak like an American because he's an American for most part. He's got the size. He had banger matches. When you look at NXT, because I know a lot of people don't watch NXT, but when you watch the PLE matches he's had bangers involving Josh Briggs, all right? For him to catch a stray, because I don't like that guy. Obafemi is a kind of guy you do not say, we're going to take our time booking him. We're just going to give him the Miz for a bit. No. He's a monster. The reason why I am annoyed about Brock Lesnar, there's many issues to be annoyed about Brock Lesnar. How he's been stale. He regressed his moveset to spamming suplexes and F5. I felt like in 2025, we had moved on from needing a Brock Lesnar, because what has Brock Lesnar has really done for the company anyway? When has he really given back? Yeah, Cody beat him. Yeah, as if Cody needed the rub. right? As if Cody needed that victory to validate him when he's already been that guy already for the past year before he even won the title. But you got Bron Breakker, who took his spot at the Rumble. In my mind, I was like, that is the successor. All that booking that's meant to be for Dom Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar, sure, we're gonna give it to Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker should be the guy. Fair enough. We're not delaying it because we see him as being a marquee wrestler. He needs to be more comfortable in the microphone or more character. Whatever it is that Paul Heyman, this Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman is meant to be like Rick Rubin of wrestling. Whatever this mojo voodoo thing is meant to do for him, sure, go through it. But Obafemi is fleshed out. You can't go, oh, Obafemi needs more of this. No, Obafemi, he's the ruler. He beats your ass and he wins title. If you could do that with Gunter, because you can argue, oh, well, Gunter got that run. Give him the Gunter run. But I'm like, even bypass the US title. Just let him, because we can talk about, because I know we're going to do a bowl thing. How do we end Cena's, last match? Who should it be? Yada, yada, yada. I just want to say that Obafemi is 6'4", build a 6'6", 320 pounds build. He can be your champion right now. Born in 1988, because 1987 is the last time is the youngest they've had a world champion. Tempest, how do you feel about that?
I think that's absolutely mad, sir. I think that's the craziest shit I've heard all day. But bro, fucking speak on it. Like Obafemi, every time I have watched Obafemi wrestle, I've gone like, I think that might be my favorite wrestler. Like he has that quality that can take just about anybody and just draw them in, because he is exactly what a world champion should look like in your wrestling. That's not to say that a world champion can't look like anything else. That's not to say that you can't have, both someone the size of Obafemi and the size of Carmelo Hayes both be world champions. They can both be, because they have very different strengths. But how great of a match would that be if you put both of them together? Bingo. You know what I mean? If you wanted to do something like, this is the thing. I saw somebody saying like, my God, they're still ranting on Triple H. Yes, sir. That's the name of the game today. Do something, like take a fucking stand and do a thing, like actually stake your flag in the ground and go, I am staking my claim on this guy right now. We're going to go and we're going to go hard on this guy, and have Obafemi debut and beat John Cena in his last match, or win the world title in his first big match, or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
really, the thing with all of this year is the only thing outside of the Cena heel turn. The only thing that I think has been genuinely shocking has been the return of Brock Lesnar, and that is the absolute last thing I wanted to see on a pro wrestling program in 2025.
I stopped watching after that.
I haven't watched the show. I watched the Raw the next night because I was booked to cover it by the lovely Denise Salcedo. Check out Denise's channel. She is great. Outside of that, I've not watched a second of it, because I'm not going to. But my God, man, like every so often, a wrestling promotion needs to just like do something, commit to something. Anything, maybe not anything. Anything does not include Brock Lesnar, but like commit, take a bold move. Don't just like do whatever this tepid, mild WrestleMania was. Do something. Do something like putting a new guy on TV and going and making him a top star quick. I understand that is not the treatment that you can give to everybody, because then that loses some of its special appeal, is like when someone comes in and just crushes someone. That has to be a bit surprising. But how many times have we seen guys who could absolutely be top tier talent just get added to the roster pool on the main roster? I'm talking now, I'm talking years past, flounder, go nowhere, tread water, and just never have anything. Like you could look at like every NXT call up, from the days of yore, You know, how many of them debuted with a bold stance? Like Paige, Kevin Owens,
Lars Sullivan. He did.
I suppose for a very brief period of time, Finn Balor, you know, maybe members of the Four Horsewomen. That you could probably give me some more. I probably am forgetting some.
I'm using Lars taking out Kurt Angle
of course.
I know we want to forget that, but yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like the amount of times where I thought you could have done do a gimmick like this as we're heading towards the end of the show, or the end of the year rather. If you've got John Cena's last match, right? And you've got maybe a bunch of people that want to say that they're John Cena's last match. Maybe you've got AJ Styles out there. Maybe you've got Gunther in the mix. Maybe you've got, I don't know, throw Seth Rollins in there as world champion to just be like, oh, this isn't enough. I want to take you away. Whatever, right? Like, fill out a ring with a bunch of guys that are all top tier guys, main event level guys, who are all saying like, no, I'm going to be the one that ends John Cena. I'm going to be the one that beats him in his last match, sends him away for good. Have all of them do that, and then have Obafemi's music hit, and have every single person in there be like, oh shit, that's a problem. Because as soon as you have all your main event stars treat the new guy like he's a star, everyone else treats him like a star. How many times over the last 10 years could we have done that with guys? You know, Bobby Roode debuts on the main roster. We need a new number one contender for a world title. You hit Glorious as everyone's debating who's going to be the new number one contender, and everyone's like, "Oh crap, it's the top guy from NXT. That's a big deal." Do that with Shinsuke Nakamura. Do that with every single NXT call up that has floundered. How have the NXT call ups still continued to flounder under Triple H?
A lot, my friend.
A lot of them, bro. Like, you touched on a really fun thing earlier where 10 years ago, maybe more, when you would have, the WrestleMania press conferences and everything, and you'd have Vince McMahon go up there and he would talk about this and that and we're changing the business and sports entertainment, yeah. And then Stephanie McMahon would go up there and talk about all the great philanthropy that they were doing that week and whatever. And then you would have Triple H go up to the podium and he would try and sell the main event of the show. You know, he goes up there and he just starts going really hard on what John Cena versus The Rock means, or what the triple threat match at Mania 30 means, what these things mean to the company, because he's trying to sell a show and sell a match. You had people for 10 years go, oh my God, as soon as he's got the book, it's going to be wrestling again. It's not going to be this stupid sports entertainment, media conglomerate. They're ashamed to be pro wrestling. They are as ashamed to be pro wrestling now as they ever have been.
And lay out the shows, mate.
That is the most disappointing. Well, the most disappointing thing is just how morally bankrupt they have been. Somehow more so than under Vince McMahon. Openly morally bankrupt. That's always going to be the number one thing. I will not support the Sex Pest Company. Thank you very much. But how is it that we have strayed further from the path of righteous pro wrestling under Triple H than we had under Vince McMahon? That, to me, Triple H, is one of your biggest failures. That this is not pro wrestling. You, Mr. I think I'm Harley Race.
Not on his best night. Dude, that's another thing as well. You watch a PLE, and I think the most annoying thing is, sure, you're doing 5 matches, but it's not. The shows are not even 2 hours or an hour and a half. It's still 2-3 hours locked in with adverts, commercials, as you guys say in America, commercials. And I'm like, that 5-minute commercial could be another match. You could accumulate all that commercial. It could be like 30 minutes worth of commercials peppered out throughout the show. That could have been an extra 2 matches. How you getting? Here's also the biggest issue I have with Triple H's booking. I'm looking at Street Profits and I'm like, man, it feels a bit kind of late that you guys want to split up.
A little bit. We've been doing this for like 3 years, bro.
Not even like the reason why, because I ain't gonna lie, I before was like, I want Tez to go for it, but I always hated the whole we have to be enemies to go our separate ways. I always appreciate it when you're like, you know what, I respect you, you respect me, let's just go away, see you later. You know what I'm saying? I liked it when Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams did it for a bit, but you know, Shawn Michaels couldn't resist. He had to go to Bag of Tricks. Whatever storylines I've done, I'm gonna do it here too. He couldn't resist himself. But I feel like Street Profits, Montez Ford's ceiling, like each year it dwindles to see him being a future main eventer compared to that appearance he had at Elimination Chamber where he showed out and you're like, oh my gosh, they got something with him. To the point that Angelo Dawkins, who is, I feel like he's got a chip on his shoulder, right? He's got a chip on his shoulder, like, man, I am not the Jannetty of this group. You know, Mike Jannetty's talented. I'm not the Bubba of this group. You know, let's just use some trash. I am not the Bubba Ray of this group. He's been showing out because I think maybe it's his outfits. Maybe his outfits let him down. Maybe that's what lets, you know, Angelo Dawkins down. But Dawkins can go. And I do feel like when they both go their separate ways, they should both get a chance. But Montez Ford has that intangible charisma that has been tapped into years because he's been kind of like moody. They've made him moody. You know, it hasn't been the Tez we know. Even when he tries to pump up, I'm like, you seem kind of sour. You seem kind of frustrated. I feel like that frustration is seeped through because he even said at one point, I don't want to be just known as my I love my wife, but I just want to be Bianca's husband. I do want to be known as Montez Ford. He's going to be 36 next year because Montez Ford and I are the same age. Angelo Dawkins and I are the same age. He's going to be 36 next year. He should be champion 2023. Or whatever, internal champion. It's always backlog of wrestlers because the top heavy vets are just stealing the spots. I'm sorry, they are stealing the spots. No matter how much you do the pomps and circumstances, you need new guys in there. We need new blood. It's stale blood. It's old blood. The show is boring. Same thing every single week. They used to complain about, oh, we're bringing in legends. That's Triple H has become. The Flanderization of WWE in 2025 has been so stark and dark to see because all of a sudden, this guy's like, well, tune in for a return, tune in for a shocking moment. Dude, I don't want shocking moments. I want great wrestling because you touted professional wrestling. You had bloody Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens there doing that promo back and forth talking about professional wrestling. How is this real and stuff like that? Where was that? And you can't say TKO because Ari Emanuel does not know the names of some of these people. If you're not bloodline people, he does not give a fuck. Because people can say TKO. Ari Emanuel and everyone else do not give a fuck or care. Nick Khan does not give a shit. He's kind of like, is this going to make money? Go for it. Right? Triple H is the one in charge. He's the conduit. He's the one explaining to people, we're going to book this guy, this guy, this guy. This is the trajectory of this guy, and this will do well in this certain markets, blah, blah. That's his job. It's Triple H's job to know the wrestlers, know the storyline. That's his job. TK don't care. It's like, as long as you're making money, great. But the way they're making money is a bit dodgy. Like, oh, I'm going to put Logan Paul in this situation. But Lesnar, like, dude, thank God for AEW, CMLL. Thank God for New Japan. Pro Wrestling know to a degree when they get the shit together sometimes. You know, thank God for alternatives. Thank God for indie wrestling. As a wrestling fan, please, guys, like different things.
You know? I think that's a great takeaway to have from this lovely rant.
Yes.
Shout out to the WrestleManiac UK. We're very happy in our new home. We're settling in very nicely here on Wrestle Purist. Make sure that you're subscribed.
That's my brother Max. Big up Max.
So you don't miss a single one of them. I think that's a pretty good takeaway from all of this. You know, like, thank God there are other shows.
Yeah.
Because, bro, like, I've been thinking about it a lot over the last little bit. We're going to wind this show down pretty soon because I got to get out of here. If anybody wants to go sign up to the wonderful Holly Musgrave's Patreon, she needs to commandeer the studio at 8 o'clock and play some board games with lovely people. Sign up to that. It'll be on her Twitter. Holly likes games. all this to say, I've been thinking back a lot. I've been doing some like retrospective kind of stuff with regards to wrestling in the 2000s and things.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at some Japanese wrestling stuff and like, oh, I can't believe, like, obviously I wasn't watching wrestling at the time. I was too young. I didn't know what it was and everything. And much less if I had been, I certainly wouldn't have been privy to what, Misawa and Kabashi were doing in Noah in 2003, right? But like, bro, for all of the good soldiers that made it through the ruthless aggression era, our namesake, for all of y'all who were out there in 2003 suffering through one of WWE's worst years to that point and not having impact even at its worst on TV every week, not having Ring of Honor television to watch as an alternative, not having a New Japan World to subscribe to. If you didn't have Telelucha or something like that, wherever it was, you were fucked for options in 2003. I don't know unless you were the absolute most hardcore of the hardcore going out there and watching your Noah tapes that you would have had to still trade around in 2003, maybe able to find on the internet. Maybe. Unless you were one of them, it was you're watching the dirt worst of Raw and SmackDown or nothing. And I could probably tell you right now, I would have been run off. So shout out to those who made it through, which includes you, sir.
No, the wrestling channel actually. Funny enough, you say that actually was launched.
Yeah.
I want to say 03, 04, but TNA. I was watching the weekly pay-per-view, so I was in with TNA. Listen, my younger brother Max, who's the year older than you, Tempest. Funny enough, he's been a big AJ Styles fan from day one. So when he debuted in WWE, I was like, dude, I'm so happy for you. Because Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles, I guess he's got good taste. Those were his two favorites. Yeah. And when AJ Styles went to WWE, I'm like, dude, you don't have to switch allegiance. Your wrestler came over to WWE. This is so cool. But dude, I had TNA. Even it was weekly pay-per-views, it was like the remnants. It felt like the ghost of WCW through a weird lens or wherever it was at the time. I had the X Division, and because through the wrestling channel, I was able to watch ROH, CMLL as well. Wrestling from the UK, all that good stuff. ROH. When I go to the Danielson run, luckily I had the wrestling channel. But dude, having an alternative is what helped the stench of watching. I call it mainstream wrestling because North American wrestling, mainstream wrestling, and WWE had the stranglehold over mainstream wrestling. And I'm so thankful I had those alternative companies because I put up with WWE because I grew up on it. I grew up during a new generation era. So that's why I have a higher tolerance for wrestle crap than most people. Because I was like, dude, it's kind of like what I was born into. Like when it gets good, it's a gift, but this is more or less what I grew up with. So I'm used to mediocreness because that's all I know. When it's great, I'm like, yay, I stuck in there. It's great, but it's 9 times out of 10, because you can even argue the boom period where we're on, the Renaissance era that Triple H refused to accept. It has to be the Paul Levesque era. Ugh. The Renaissance era, which encapsulated AEW and WWE doing great business or being two huge popular companies around the same time. For WWE, it died this year with the debut on Netflix because they only had 3 matches and the rest was just patting themselves on the back. Look how much money you paid. Look how much money. There's Hulk Hogan. Look how much money you paid. We're just going to smack ourselves on the back, congratulate ourselves. We're going to put ourselves in the Hall of Fame. What happens as soon as Triple H takes over? Puts himself in the Hall of Fame, puts his wife in the Hall of Fame. The thing is, this is why I also dislike about Triple H. I'm going to go into it because this is like therapy.
Keep in mind, I am on a hard out.
Wait, it's quick.
All right, go.
Anytime he makes me compliment Vince McMahon, I hate him more. Triple H.
Facts.
That's what I mean. Facts. That's what I'm trying to say. If I'm saying, well, this guy would never put himself, he also don't thank me. But Triple H said, thank me more. No, you're not thanking me more enough. Put me in the intro. I'm in the intro enough. I'm shocked that it's not his face on the WWE logo with it. You know what I'm saying? This guy's I've never seen a more insecure guy. One day we will deconstruct every moment of insecurity that's displayed on wrestling. But dude, throwing it back to you.
Dude, I will say I'm crafting a list to have that exact chat, because I'll throw Kevin's chat up real quick, real here. Because it says, happy to see you, my dear friend. Since WrestleMania, I haven't been watching the week-to-week product, and after SummerSlam, I had to take a break. I still catch up with results, but I'm not vibing with WWE right now. Needless to say, after the near 2-hour podcast that we have had here, we very much feel the same, that WWE currently is not our cup of tea. And ladies and gentlemen, we have barely scratched the surface of the discussion that could be had, either regarding, like, we could have a whole podcast like this on Triple H's career and how we feel about that, or all of the things that this could extend out to. So if that does sound good to you, if you enjoyed this little preview of what's to come in the weeks and months and maybe even years to come, make sure, of course, that you like and subscribe to Wrestle Purists right here. And make sure, of course, that you are signed up as a member so you get to see our exclusive AEW Dynamite coverage coming again this Thursday. Sat.
Yes.
This has been a lovely and wonderful first edition of Ruthless Discussion.
Ruthless Discussion, yeah.
I thank you very much for always being my wonderful co-host.
I appreciate
Thank Wrestle Purists again for giving us a wonderful new home. Keep it locked. Thank you, Monty, as always. Make sure you're keeping it locked for all of the various Wrestle Purist shows that'll be coming down the pipeline ever so soon. We will see you next time, folks.
We're out of time.